Hello, hello, hello. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Ron, aka Ron the Artist, coming to you live. And welcome to Ron's Recap. I'm here today to review and recap the TV show All American Homecoming, Season 1, Episode 3, titled Love and War. Or Episode 4, titled Love and War. Now let's get into it. It was a good episode, guys. It was a good episode. The episode started off with Simone, running, getting in shape for this tennis team practice. She's getting in shape. She's now on the team, so she has to remain in shape or whatever. And she was greeted a nice, warm welcome to the team. They gave her some plain tennis shoes or running tennis shoes and a tennis bracket. Again, a nice welcome to the team. And of course, in the midst of that, everybody welcomed her except the Hayden chick, the captain. She is something else. She is something else. Like, out of all the people, everybody congratulating her, welcoming her to the team, giving her some new shoes and, tennis bracket. She got to be the one side-eyeing from a distance. Like, how you got to hate? You're the captain on the spot, so why are you hating on people that's just now getting on the team? They cannot come for your spot. They can probably match your game and your ability, but you have the spot. You have the title. Nobody can threaten that. So why? I don't get it. So again, I don't get it. But of course, Simone still, her bubbly self, doing her. On to the Brinkstons Lion baseball team. They lost the game, and it brutally hurt them. They were all fragile, after that. Brutally hurt them mentally, and they were feeling extremely discouraged or whatever. So Coach Turner, JR, and Damon, were trying to discuss ways and figure out ways they could uplift the team, preferably, JR and Damon. And the coach shot down most of the ideas, but Damon was still set to do something about it. Set to reach out to some of his connects regarding possible sponsorships, to see about getting like new gear, new team gear, and maybe some money in their pocket or whatever the case may be. And again, even though Coach Turner, he turned it down, Damon was persistent. So on that journey of seeking, the sponsorships, no one was really interested due to the recent scandals they had at the HBCU and by it being an HBCU. Unfortunate and foul. So crazy. Like, now not one of them kind of gave him a good response. So as him and Simone discussed the details of it, he notices the new gear she got from her team, from her tennis team. Meanwhile, she's already in her head about getting one of the 6 spots on the team, to play at the games and worrying some. She is worrying way too soon about stuff like that. But she just made the team, and I'm just like, girl, have a seat. Like, Damien made a good point. Have a seat. You just made the team. Enjoy that. Soak that in. They gave you a warm welcome. Like, you will have your moment. You're good. They know you're good. So soak it in. Enjoy it. And that was that, So off to the brainstorming that, to figure out how Simone and Thea, to bring Simone and Thea together. Her and her friends decided, well, more so Simone decided she wanted to be the one to throw Thea a birthday party when she got whiff of it being Thea's birthday. She wanted to throw Thea a birthday party or do something for a birthday for how to bring them together. And honestly, I feel like that was a bit too soon. I was like, wait a minute, that's not a good idea. The girl don't like you. She hates your guts, or maybe not hate you, but she dislikes you. She views you as competition or as a threat. So pipe down, girl, pipe down. And yeah. So on to, Damon's mother, the momager. that woman makes my ass itch. She does the utmost. She does the utmost, and she doesn't really have to. Like, apparently, Damon's mother caught wind of him calling around for the sponsorships behind her back because not only does, she show up to the next baseball practice, but she shows up with the possible sponsor that he thought he striked out with. He thought he striked out with the possible sponsor, and the sponsor, I'm assuming, reached out to her, and they end up coming to the practice together. So, no bueno. So in comes the momager to save the day, pretty much at that point. As long as it's centered around Damon and against Coach against Coach Turner's will, she was all for it. Like, the kids are just now being able to receive sponsorships. So, or the students, I should say. Like, why? Like, he's already had the spotlight on him, which is also like fed his ego by him being a prospect of the MLB, and like, he's already made the point that he doesn't want that. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want that to his mom. So she made it a point to try that again, and against Coach Turner's will, and even got the president's authority backing her. And that was just not okay. So I was just like, okay, what is about to happen with this mom? What is about to happen with this momager? What is about to happen? So next up, Simone wanted to celebrate Thea's birthday, even though it was made clear as day that Thea doesn't like birthday celebrations. And yet Simone is persistent in attempting to do something for her birthday, knowing the girl already does not like her, as I previously said, and that she barely knows her as well. Trouble. I'm like, pipe down, Simone, pipe down. Pipe it down. Next up, Dr. Patterson. She had a former student come to talk and give a speech to her class, meanwhile inviting him over for dinner as a thank you. Sidebar, her hospitality skills are on point. Like, she must love cooking and just love having guests over at her house, because she stayed cooking dinner and inviting people over for dinner. And like, not that I'm mad at it, but she always got people over for dinner. That's it. That's all. That's all. She always got people over for dinner. Like, back to Damon's mother. She went up and beyond to get the attention on the baseball team, allegedly. She set up a presentation for the team and with other, possible sponsorships, which can be good for the team and the teammates. But it's all against Coach Turner's will again. So we will just see how that goes. At that moment, I'm like, okay, we'll just see how that goes. I'm scared to see how that goes going to go, because that woman's intentions are probably not pure. So in the midst of that convo, it was time for, in the midst of Damon and her convo on the field, day 2, he ended up, it's his turn to go, go hit the ball or whatever. And in the midst of that, JR ended up coming over to her, to start convo with her. And she was very uninterested. Wanted to brush him off, but of course, since Damon saw her, she gave him a little bit more energy. And since it didn't quite concern Damon, even though JR asked personal questions about Damon, such as the scar on his forehead and such, the conversation still didn't last very long. And the lack of interest, but more interest on Damon's well-being. And I'm just like, you can see it from a mile away why she is there. Her eye is glued on Damon. Like, come on now. That led to JR looking at this picture of Damon as a baby that was on his phone. Interesting. Or at least have a baby that looks like Damon. Possibly could be Damon. So back to Simone and Damon. They're discussing his mom's changed ways, allegedly. Discussing his mom's changed ways when Simone wasn't quite convinced that the actions wasn't quite convinced that she was changed in her actions, in comparison to her mom's ways of being similar. But Damon didn't quite like that, so he packed his things up and left and exited the building, exit stage left of the compound. So dramatic. He wanted to have faith in his mama, and I can't blame him. He wanted to have faith in his mama. She was lying to him, making it seem like this is what this is, and ultimately that's what it was. And yeah. So Dr. Patterson and her former student at the dinner, ultimately, offering her a job opportunity, knowing that things are so great for her at Princeton. He offered her a job opportunity that sounded pretty golden, full time, and by her being, a little on edge and, possibly fearful of her life or whatever the case may be, she considered it, as she should have. So next up, Simone, her setting up the birthday party decorations for Thea until being disrupted by an annoyed floor mate, Melinda, who wanted the space for study purposes. And in comes Thea. While she's going back and forth with Melinda hating and, I want this space, as if that's the only space she could study in. Thea, who heard about the surprise party supposedly being thrown for her, and not actually realizing that it was a genuine gesture for her, and not a petty situation, she agreed to it. At first she was like, nah, like, are you trying to keep your enemies close? Like, what is this about? She's like, no, Simone's just like, I'm just trying to be nice. Is that so hard to think? Is that so hard to, for someone to do? And due to that, she let her guard down a little bit. Like, okay, all right, if the teammates say they'll be here, let's see what it's about. So for a slight second, it appeared that Thea let her guard down, and she was receptive to the party. So at that moment, I was like, okay, let's just see how this goes. On to Damon. Damon approaching the president of the university about his potential issue between Coach Turner and his mom. The president gave his mom authority to be on that field to do what she needed to do regarding those sponsors. And the president shed a light on the motive, the ulterior motive that his mom was lying about, of actually getting this presentation for endorsements to be surrounded around Damon versus the team. She had gear to be set up and sold and all, like, a bit much. Shiesty as hell. That was exactly what Simone and Coach Turner knew that she would do, and she proved them to be right. Like, that mom, she really wants to be, like, retired and living her dreams or living off of his funds and him taking care of her. Like, I see it. It's not going to happen, though. He's fighting it. He's fighting it with everything in him, So back to Thea's party, her surprise party. No one showed up to her surprise party. Like, that was mad embarrassing. And yet funny. I laughed. Because I'm like, honestly, that's what she get. Like, your B word to people. Your B word to Simone, and I'm sure other people. And if she wasn't probably B word to people, she might have more friends and people would have came to the party. So the fact that people didn't come to the party wasn't surprising. And she knew it. So, incoming, back to that nagging girl, Melinda, one in that common space originally, came into space again, claiming she wants to make a complaint against Nathaniel for having Simone sleeping over, using up the resources. Not only was she extremely disrespectful in her approach while they were having a full-blown conversation, she misgendered Nathaniel disrespectfully, shaking my head, like, disrespectfully, like, it was giving Karen energy, as Simone said, giving Major Karen energy, and ultimately, Nathaniel, he backed down and let Melinda have her moment until Keisha took her away to let her make her complaint. Like, all right, let me let you make your complaint. Let's get you up out of here. Like, Simone stepped in, trying to get the girl off of the back, prior to that, prior to her taking all these jabs at Nathaniel. Simone stepped to her like, what is your problem? But Keisha ended up getting in there, getting her out of there. But then Nathaniel ended up putting her in her place about just letting stuff be sometimes and not arguing with that girl. And about, letting Thea down at the party as well. Like, I guess he just pretty much told Simone to stay in your place. Like, no means no, and learn to, like, leave people alone when they say leave them alone. And that's accurate. That's accurate. Even though Simone was just trying to be nice and trying to help and giving a nice gesture and defending her friends and trying to be there for somebody, ultimately it backfired in her face twice in the same episode. Moving on to Coach Turner and Dr. Patterson, having a conversation about the sponsorship presentation and the effects it may have on his team. Meanwhile, she lets him know about the job offer as a journalist, which would require her to quit the teaching job at Princeton, and Coach Turner didn't agree. Even though all odds have been stacked against her, he still thinks that, there's a lot to offer at Princeton for her. Clearly hitting at him. But Simone, busted up that conversation when she got in there, and she peeped the energy between them, and Simone forced Dr. Patterson to give her the tea, the intel on what's going on between her and Coach Turner. And that's when, Dr. Patterson let Simone know that they used to date. They ended it after a moment in the past, but they used to date, and clearly both of them still have somewhat of a thing for each other. So we shall see how that plays out. I can't wait to see how that plays out. So the time is dwindling down for the sponsorship presentation. The sponsorship presentation awaits. As Damon drops the intel on Coach Turner about the sponsors seeking him as a whole. But Damon made the decision with the team to change the narrative entirely, focus strictly on the team versus just on Damon. And the presentation turned out great. It's just that Damon was sure that they wouldn't possibly hear back, even though he was approached and informed that they would be in touch. As he said, he was like, I've heard this way too many times. When they say they'll be in touch, usually they're not going to be in touch. And that was unfortunate because those kids clearly need the sponsorships. And that team needs the sponsorships. And it's unfortunate that they're so focused on him and the mom, raising, getting all this hype around him. It's just unfortunate, it's unfortunate. Because again, they need it. They just need backing with the outfits, with the uniforms, and they need some encouragement, all that good stuff. So back to Nathaniel and Melinda. He ended up approaching Melinda about her issue with him. And apparently she doesn't like the fact that he's getting special privileges due to Keisha being his bestie. I guess he has his own room and his own bathroom because of Keisha, when he had no idea of the actions. He thought that it was, the school giving him, or I should say they thought that the school was giving them, their own bathroom, their own living situation due to them being them. And no, I guess it was Keisha with her Keisha shield, as they called it later in the episode, diffusing the situation, which was nice on her behalf, but it caused a problem. People knew, and is jealous of it. Crazy. So while all of that is going on, the baseball team awaits news about sponsorships from the presentation. The coach had bigger plans, though. He didn't want to wait on whatever the presentation was talking about or the sponsorships at the presentation. The coach had bigger plans. Due to being inspired by the leadership of the presentation, he sent that video out of the presentation to other possible sponsors around Atlanta, and they bit the bait, wanting to sponsor multiple members of the team. And kudos to them. Like, it worked out for them, and ultimately it worked out for them. Again, because they need it. They need it. So, Damon had, an even better idea. Even though that was the highlight, Damon had an even better idea. Whoever was to get sponsored was to put their, their funds from their sponsorship into a team fund. That way, no one would miss out on new equipment, etc. No one would miss out on new gear and, necessities. Because, again, they need it, Again, they're at an HBCU. Like, I find that so crazy that HBCUs are broke. Like, historical colleges don't have money. Like, I know the underlying issue of why that I'm not going to discuss, but I find it crazy that this is such a thing. This is a thing, and it's not only that do I know of this living in Atlanta. This is depicted on a show that's taking place in Atlanta. Like, it's crazy. So again, brilliant idea from Damon. Again, brilliant idea. And again, for him to, not be the captain, he does a good job of like boosting them up. Even though he's had some slip ups at the beginning, some hiccups. He does a good job of like keeping them hype and embracing them outside of the way JR does it. So I can't wait to see how that, erupts. And he keeps kind of being congratulated on that too, the leadership. As Coach Tedder, called, like, the leadership is what encouraged me to, want this change. So I can't wait to see what comes from that ultimately. So shortly after, Damon approached Simone about her words earlier, telling her, she wasn't wrong, even though she apologized for, overstepping. She gave him some good advice on the way out about the approach, over his mother going forth, how to approach his mother going forth, and to give respect and boundaries that he desires from her. Like, definitely there needs to be some respect and boundaries set, because she's going to keep violating and overstepping and doing the madness she's doing, if not. So after that conversation ended, she went to go find Thea and apologized for jumping the gun with her as well. Jumping the gun with the party. Thea was on the tennis court, and her and Simone had a breakthrough moment, I think. I think they had a breakthrough moment. She let Simone know that no one on the team is her friend. Then she let it be known that no one is her friend for real on the team. She doesn't really have friends, and that they just tolerate her because she's the captain of the team, and her parents paid towards the team. Her parents has put funds toward the team, giving Simone more insight on who she was. Simone apologized for overstepping and offered to take her out to eat since it's still her birthday, and she agreed. So again, there was a breakthrough moment, and I just hope Thea doesn't renege on that, because clearly Thea needs some friends and some genuine people around her. And if she just gives Simone, lightweight to do that, she might actually just have a good friend. So we'll see how that goes. On to Melinda. This Melinda girl is trouble. Melinda went to make another written complaint, and came straight to Keisha's door, knocking like the police, with it in her hand. Just too much. She has too much time on her hands. If you ask me. But Nathaniel had a written complaint and signatures ready for her as well, witnessing Melinda sneaking in her boyfriend in the after hours. Like, you coming to tell on me because I, just for whatever reason, but yet you sneaking in your boyfriend after hours. And I got signatures proving it. Like, killed her softly at her own game. Like, pipe down, girl. Pipe down. Find you somebody else to play with. That's how I felt at that moment. Because she's doing too much. Like, too much. And he even killed her even more. Like, we're going to be friends. We're going to be good friends. She's not receptive to it, but hey, we might see her more in the season. So, as the episode was coming close to an end, Coach Turner received a visit from the school president about the success of the sponsorships and potentially giving 75% of the players' funds to the school. Like, that was so foul. And his approach was like, oh, so the school has priority, or the school has, da 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 for 75%. Like, really? This team is already struggling. Clearly, the team is on the verge of being shut down. The fact that they're now getting some recognition and light shown their way and money shown their way, let them live that. Let them have that. Why would you come in and try to take that away from them? Like, if the school is having issues, figure that out elsewhere. Don't do that when it's already struggling over there. Like, that was just so foul. So foul, so foul. And Coach Turner checked him about that. And, Dr. Patterson's position. She's like, you haven't even given her meeting. Like, what's up? Like, the president then threatened him in his role and told him to stay in his lane. Like, bro, you have no idea. Everybody's meeting, everybody's board, whatever 10-year situation has been on hold. And stay in your lane, and all he could do was take that. So back to Damon and his mom having a raw conversation about her manager role. And he fired her due to wanting a just mother and son relationship. And as hurtful and sentimental as that moment was, she agreed to it thankfully. I'm going to say something about that. I got to say something about that because that happens a lot in entertainment. Momagers. Like, sometimes momagers can be a cursing and a blessing because that is your mom, but there's also business at play. There's money at play. And you know how they say money is the root of all evil? That's accurate. So you will get to see a different side of your own mom due to money, a price tag being attached to opportunities or whatever. So it's like, yeah, this is your mom. She's going to be protective over you because she's your mom. But at the same time, it might get venomous because of money. And I don't know exactly the details of this comparison, but I want to talk about Usher and his mom. Just vaguely. I do know that he had to fire his mom, who was his momager for years. And like he said in the song Papers, that he almost lost his mom. He almost lost his mom in that relationship, that momager role. Because again, money and opportunity and deals and all of that was at play. Meanwhile, this is still your mom, the person who birthed you. And why would you want to lose your mom to money and deals and business? Like, that's definitely not how that's supposed to go. When in a different situation, Kris Jenner, and her being the momager of the whole Kardashian Jenner clan, like, that's a situation that's healthy, at least so it appears to us. Healthier. They disrespect her. The children disrespect her when they don't get their way, but for the most part, that momager role works for her. She has expanded their brand 1,000 times bigger than what it started off to. She put the entire family on due to that. The entire family is a wealthy on top of wealthy. So that's a situation that I feel like it works out, but I think that definitely needs to be aligned somewhere with that mom and manager role. So I'm glad that, Damon was able to cut it off at some point. Cut it off and end it. Because you might not have a mom if you don't cut it off. And I think he understood that, and he came to grips with that, and she came to grips with that, and now they're going to start getting to that. So Coach Turner, he filled Dr. Patterson in on the convo that he had with the president and informing her that she's not alone in having her hearing postponed, that all the professors' hearings have been postponed. Meanwhile, she's not being targeted for now. Pretty much, Dr. Patterson implies that Brinkston must be really having a lot of financial trouble. Brinkston must really be having a lot of financial trouble, which is probably why he approached which was probably why he approached Turner about 75% of the student sponsorships in the first place, which I was just like, that's too much. That's too much, bro. 75%. So it's like, them kids get, what, $1,000? And you want to take 75%? That means they're only going to get $250 out of that. That is crazy. That is crazy. It's crazy. And they earn that. Them students earn that. So I really hope that the school lay off that baseball team and the money that's about to go to that baseball team. I really do. Even though they might be hurting elsewhere with the actual university, lay off the baseball team. Even though the baseball team is probably why they also are having these financial issues so heavy. But it wasn't because of Coach Turner. It wasn't because of most of the current team now. So I hope they fix it. So in the midst of that, Simone, Thea, and Damon came in, giving Dr. Patterson a moment to step away. Simone, Thea, Damon, Nathaniel, and Keisha also came in, giving Dr. Patterson a moment to step away to let Ralph, her former student, know that she'll be staying at Princeton, toughing it out, and that she'll probably want to report a story. She'll probably want to report a story. Probably at the university's finances. Probably on the university's finances. And that might be another situation putting her at a major risk, so she better watch her footsteps. She better watch her footsteps if you ask me. Nathaniel and Keisha, having a heart-to-heart. They had a heart-to-heart at their room and bathroom situation. So, yeah, okay, so they hadn't got there yet. Nathaniel and Keisha hadn't got to the dinner just yet. But they were having a heart-to-heart, at their room, at their dorm, about the bathroom and room situation that Keisha arranged. And Nathaniel was thankful and understanding of the gesture, but would appreciate if she just let them, go through those battles by themselves. Due to it being different, outside of Princeton University, real life different. So, no more Keisha Shield. She agreed no more Keisha Shield. Like, that was a good point that they made, that Nathaniel made, that I need to go through these battles because I don't need that shield because I want to go through these battles outside of here. And I need those battles right now to help prepare me for those battles. And that's what it is. And I fully heard that and processed that, and that's just what it was. So then Nathaniel and Keisha ended up getting to the dinner. Eventually. And JR ended up, secretly telling, Simone about his secret. And then he needed to let it be known to somebody that he thinks Damon might be his brother, swearing that he believed his parents had another baby, but randomly one day the baby disappeared until seeing a picture of that baby in a Bible that his mother gave him, guessing that it was Damon. Meanwhile, Simone also thinking that Damon's birth parents could possibly be Dr. Patterson and Coach Turner's child. Absurd. I'm like, huh? How the heck did JR, how did that go from JR thinking that is his possible brother to Simone thinking that Dr. Patterson and Turner is Damon's birth parents? I'm like, what? What? And then it got even more random because after that moment wrapped up, they went back to the table and, got to the conversation with Thea and Keisha having a conversation about pole dancing. And it somehow landed Thea, Keisha, and Nathaniel to a pole dancing studio for Thea's birthday. I was like, oh my God, if that did not end so random, so random. It was a nice moment. I ain't gonna take it from it. It was a nice moment, but it ended up random. I'm like, okay, wait. How did we get to this again? Ultimately, it was a good episode. I really like this show. All American Homecoming. It's dope, and I like it. So that's all I got for you guys this week, guys. Next week it is. I'll see you guys next week, next Monday. It's your boy Ron, aka Ron the Artist. If you're watching this with me right now, we're on Instagram Live. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, it is pre-recorded from Instagram Live. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above on the video. Let's talk about the review. Let's talk about the recap. What did you think about the episode? What did you think about my review? My recap, what did you think about it? If you're watching this on Instagram, follow me. Follow me on Instagram at rta.tv. Follow me. Let's comment, like. Let me know how I did. Let's talk about the review recap. Let's talk about the episode. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.